You know, guys, this is the first MCU press screening I've ever been to where they actually gave the audience a free alcoholic beverage. And you know what that usually means for anyone who's been to plenty of press screenings? When they're throwing a free alcohol, you know how the studio really feels about what they got on their hands. What is going on there, citizens of the Reject Nation? Greg and John here today. We just watched the Marvels. Burbank is quite serious about any kind of recording, so we're gonna have to keep this quick, and I'm glad we do, because I'm gonna be very, very direct with you guys. Leave a like on this video if you dare to. John, quickly give them the plot if there is one.
That's an easy task. Hey, look, there's this Kree warrior who's real mad about the events of Captain Marvel, so she's searching out, various means of extracting revenge. Let's just put it that way. Meanwhile, Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, they all discover that their powers are interlinked somehow. All those circumstances intertwined to where they got to figure out what this weird power switching thing is and how to stop the villain. That's kind of what it's about.
Okay, all right, I'm just going to give you guys some quick thoughts here. Iman Vellani is easily the best part of this whole movie to me. I thought that might be the case before watching this film. Sure enough, she is. She steals every scene she's in. I like the appearance from her family that is laced throughout this entire film as well. I thought they were great. John, did you like Iman Vellani?
Very much so, definitely.
She's great, right?
Yep, she is terrific.
Brie Larson, boy, have they made her relatable. She's relatable.
Cracking wise, she's having some fun. She's lightened up a bit.
I really liked Brie Larson individually quite a bit. Her personality, I thought she was much more appealing this time around.
I quite enjoyed all three of them in
Yes.
this, at least individually and oftentimes together. And Teyonah Parris is another terrific actor. You know, she's doing good stuff with what they're giving her.
Yes, I would say that too. And the movie occasionally has some cool visuals. Occasionally there's some cool action scenes. I don't know about a whole scene, but there'll be moments within the action. Like there's this whole thing where whenever they use their powers, they're switching spots with each other. And sometimes there's some really cool choreography that happens there.
That is the word that came to mind watching it. I was like, there is some cool, inventive choreography here. And I thought generally when it gave way to an action scene, which are often the scenes the movie lets breathe the most, you know, there's some pretty punchy stuff in there.
The music is occasionally good.
It's much brighter in tone than I'm used to from an MCU. There were times where I'm like, oh, we're going lighter, we're going more triumphant, we're going something that reminds me more of, I don't know why Danny Elfman, but kinda.
Listen, guys, when this movie was done, Coy was sitting next to me, and everyone knows Coy is the guy who's the most forgiving of the MCU. He looked at me, and I don't want to just give away his review. I'm going to say it right now, though, because I could not agree more. He said, this is not what Marvel needs right now.
Fair.
I really tried to like this movie. The first, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes of it, I was like, all right, it's edited a little weird, paced a little funny. It looks like a TV show, but yeah, I'm having fun. It's messy, but I'm having fun. But then eventually, for me, seems like you're a lot nicer about it than me, and I'm totally okay with that. I don't want to rain anyone's parade. We went to a screening where there's a mixed bag there. There's a lot of people who really liked it, and good for you if you really like it. For me, I think this is one of the worst MCU movies that they have ever done. And I was really trying because I think these three actresses, while great, they deserved a much better movie than this. And sure, is there an end credit scene and a post credit scene that is so important to the future of the MCU? Absolutely. And I would advise not letting the importance of what it is setting up dissuade you into thinking that what you just watched is a great film, because it's not. In fact, there are things about the post-credit scene that actively, I buried my head, and again, I think I said out loud, like, I can't believe there's one choice they make about it where I could not believe that they did it. In the post-credit scene specifically, the movie itself, I thought was terribly edited throughout, terribly paced. I felt nothing. I thought the movie was in a rush to finish. Like, Rich is
a rush to do anything it sets its mind to.
It goes in and out of scenes that are supposed to have emotion. John was on my right, Coy's on the left. I was turning like, what is happening right now? Like, why are they just like speeding through it? I think it is the worst comic book movie I have seen all year. I don't like the first Captain Marvel movie. That one at least feels like an actual movie. This felt like they took an entire season's worth of a Disney Plus show, crammed it into 2.5 hours, and then said 2.5 hours is too long. We got to trim it down to an hour and 40 minutes. I do not think this is a good movie. And I'm not apologizing for it. It's not a good movie. Great actors in it. Some good action. Samuel L. Jackson looks bored as shit. Does not feel like the performance carrying over from Secret Invasion whatsoever.
I mean, I can abide a lighter toned Fury and even lack of continuity from characterization. I know comic books will do that. But yeah, it's a bit disconcerting the way they handle Nick Fury throughout.
A lot of the comedy is done through this like lackadaisical, we don't really care kind of attitude.
That casual, like, well, that's kind of weird sort of comedy, yeah.
Marvel released this trailer, the final one for the Marvels. It is not that tone. I guarantee you there are some scenes in this movie that are some of the cheesiest, cringiest scenes you will ever see in any of the MCU. And I feel so bad for what some of these actors are going to be going through because of the movie they deliver when it is not their fault. They're great and they're giving it their all, and I really fucking mean that. It's weird and messy at times. It gets to a point where, like, I think it's maybe intentional. I can see someone surrendering to the mess and just going, whatever, I'm having fun with it.
It's a fantasy.
It's a chaos. I feel like I gotta say something nice. There's some cat stuff in it. I'm a cat lover. Look, I've chalked up a lot of movies of my experience of going like, yeah, it's messy and whatever, but I had fun. This is one of those experiences where the mess just overrode the fun for me. John, please say nice things because you're on a much higher note than I am about it, all right?
Yes, I mean, I was having some kind of a blast throughout a lot of this movie. It certainly is all over the place. It is a very much and then kind of a plot where just random things will pop up, and they don't really give much time to pay attention to them. However, the color and the levity of everything and the sort of bounciness had me enjoying myself for a good amount of it. There is a crossroads I think you will come to as a viewer depending on how much that enjoyment is bolstering your experience, where it may kind of plateau and sort of drop off for you, or it'll start to make you mad. I am in the camp where I was always kind of pleasantly enjoying it, sometimes genuinely, sometimes sort of in spite of the strange cacophony this movie becomes. I don't begrudge a Marvel movie feeling a bit like a cartoon, a bit disconnected in terms of like the immediacy of the continuity. Stuff like that is cool when it happens, but I'm not hanging on that. So a lot of this I was like, cool, as long as this is a fun, colorful sort of bonding experience with just enough stakes, I'm happy. The trouble for me is that you don't really get much chance to latch onto any of the stakes. No, for sure. Like, I thought, I'm blanking on the actress's name, Zawe something or other.
The villain?
Yes.
Oh my God, what a terrible
Dar-Benn,
villain.
Whatever her name is.
Terrible villain.
She is another one of those villains that
Holy
is
shit,
lucky
guys.
to have a very capable actor do all of the work to make this any kind of character. Looking badass, very underwritten. The main three, I don't think that this movie is really bolstering their journey as characters. Again, I'm not asking these movies to be the deepest. I'm not asking for some kind of impactful, meaningful allegory. However, there are character threads that are meaningful that would help this movie be more enjoyable, us enjoy and love these characters that much more based on something other than pre-existing knowledge that they leave on the table. There are opportunities for the history between Carol and Monica to be rectified that are touched upon but not really unpacked, and those things are the saddest parts of the movie to me, because there are lots of opportunities for some actual impactful character work they do not take. I felt kind of bad when the credits started to roll because I was like, I don't think this is really any of the creatives' fault. I doubt this is what any of those three writers wanted this movie to look like. I doubt this is exactly the calling card Nia Da Costa wanted out of this experience. Everybody for the most part shows up, but it is like a weird episode of it's like one of those Doctor Who episodes that is like a loud mess, and sometimes those are fun, and in this case I had fun with that, but sometimes those are grating and not fun, and I feel like it's just as valid to fall on that other side, basically. At a certain point it does start to plateau, and then you start to notice the deficiencies of the actual plotting, filmmaking, characterization, etc. that keep this from succeeding despite the aspects that are maybe a bit messy.
I mean, I don't begrudge anyone who ends up actually liking this movie. I I did not have high expectations for this movie. Somehow it came in exceedingly under what I expected out of this movie. And I think that the directing on this is not really shown well. Like, you hear these reports coming out and you're like, this does not feel like Nia Da Costa's direction. I can't even get my thoughts in order, guys.
It feels produced to death. It feels studio noted to death.
It's one of the most committee-made Marvel movies I've seen in a very, very long time.
It feels like somebody panicked and they're like, this has to make up for so much and also be the next huge installment and set up all the important shit to come.
Yeah,
and I think it buckles under the weight of not just choosing one and being that.
I think these characters and these actors, they deserved a much better film, for sure.
The sisterhood deserves better.
They really did, because they're not the problem with this movie at all. Yeah. They're not. They're the only thing that kind of saves the film at times, with the occasional cool visual moment, but most of the time I'm like, I don't even care what's happening on screen. It feels like such an impassive experience, honestly. That's my thoughts on it. I'm kind of baffled by how much I didn't like it. I'm like a 2.5 to 3 out of 10 on this film.
I'm more like a 6, you know? Like, I had
awesome.
enough fun. I had fun. But yeah, there's a lot of ways this could have been great and really enjoyable and heart-swelling.
All right, let me edit this video so we can get a bunch of crap from everyone who already sold their minds on whether they liked it. That's it. Thanks for being here. See you soon.
See you next Marvel.